Cool, I saw that our meeting is being live streamed. Awesome.
Tanya, does everything look good on your end? Okay, thank you.
Vane, once you make me host, can you stay on just to make sure that it doesn't mess up the
Yeah,
live stream?
uh-huh. I'll make you host right now.
Okay.
Um, okay, I just made you host.
Okay, Tanya and Diana, are you still in the right channel? Did that mess anything up? Okay,
Okay,
Everything is good. Thank you.
all right.
cool.
Thank you.
And Vane, can you still see if I think it's still, oh yeah, it still says recording YouTube.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we're
You
good.
are
But let
amazing.
me know if anything changes with the YouTube setup.
Yeah, yeah, no, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. I have to hop off, but have a good meeting, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Anna, before we start, I want to make sure that you're able to record. Let me know if you need any additional permission. There's some people running late, so we're going to give it one more minute.
Hay algunas personas que recién están ingresando, así que vamos a darles un minuto más. Gracias.
Okay. I'm going to get started. Before we officially start, I'm going to pass it to the Linguistica team to tell you how to get into the language channel of your choice.
Thank you. Buenas tardes a todos y bienvenidos a la junta del día de hoy. Tenemos el servicio de interpretación disponible para aquellas personas que lo requieran. El servicio ya está activo, así que si están conectados desde la computadora, en la parte de abajo del menú de Zoom van a ver un icono que parece un mundo que dice interpretación. Hacemos clic en esa opción y luego seleccionamos la opción de español y silenciar el audio original si no queremos escuchar dos voces a la vez. Y si se están conectando desde la tableta o desde su dispositivo móvil, tienen que tocar su pantalla y buscar la opción de los tres puntos que dice más o more. Seleccionamos interpretación de idiomas, la opción que dice español y al final la opción que dice finalizado, terminado o listo. Si tienen alguna dificultad para unirse al canal de interpretación, nos hacen saber por el chat para poder ayudarles. Ahora voy a dar las mismas instrucciones, pero en inglés. Hello everyone, today we have interpretation available for those who need it. If you are joining from a computer, at the bottom of the Zoom menu, you will see a word-like icon that says interpretation. You can select that and then you will select English. And if you're joining from your phone or your tablet, you can tap your screen, look for the three dots option that says more, you will select English. And at the end, the option that says finish or done. If you have any issues joining the channel, please let us know in the chat so we can help you. Thank you. Gracias.
Thank you. Just want to take a moment to pause to make sure that everybody is in the channel the language channel they would like to be in and that everybody can hear. I'm going to pause a minute. If you're having any problems, come off mute, raise your hand, put it in the chat. I can't see the chat, so if anybody put something in the chat, if somebody could flag that.
And I'm sorry, Diana, you can put me in the interpretation channel now, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Amy, are you on? We're gonna have to wait to move you for a sec because I can't do that while I'm sharing my screen. So Amy's gonna join it just, oh, Amy, you're on. Can you move the interpreters?
Yes, thank you. Can you make me
Okay.
host, please?
Let me stop sharing. While we're at this pause, want to make sure that everybody can hear. Oh, I see a hand. Mario.
Yes, I want to know if I could announce something today, when you guys have a little chance to let me announce something.
Yes, that's a great question. We have time at the end for comment, and that would be a great time for you to do that.
I feel like I want to do it when everybody's there, because
Yeah.
this announcement, I want everybody to hear it, not when people start leaving.
We should have plenty of time then.
Yeah,
So
but
yeah.
people leave at certain times, and I
Well,
would
now
like
this will be a good reminder for everybody to stay because now you'll want to know what Mario's going to say. So that's a great way to make everybody stay. So thank you.
All right, thank you.
Uh-huh.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. This is Amy. And we'll have Danya giving the instructions in
We already
English.
did that.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. Apologies for the delay.
No, this is real time. So I'm gonna go back to sharing my screen. If at any time anybody cannot hear anything that anybody is saying, if the interpretation isn't working, you're not hearing in the language that you would like to hear in, if any of us are talking too quickly, don't hesitate, come off mute, tell us to slow down, put something in the chat. We want to make sure that everybody can hear how they want to hear. So I'm going to go back to sharing my screen and kick off our meeting. So thank you so much and welcome to our 59th Arvin Lamont Community Steering Committee meeting. My name is Diana. You're used to seeing me probably in the Shafter meetings, but today I'm here in Arvin because we like to see what all of the communities are doing. And I'm joined today by my co-host Amy, who would be very familiar to you. And we appreciate everybody's commitment to these meetings and to spending your evenings with us. I know you have a lot of other commitments to do, and this is valuable time that you're spending with us. So we really appreciate it. And we really appreciate all of the work that you're doing to improve air quality in Arvin. At this time, we would like to invite our two co-leads, Bianca and Cesar, to share some opening remarks.
Hi, good afternoon. Sorry, I'm going through a cold. Welcome everybody. This is an important meeting as we're making changes in our SERP, especially on our filter. I know that a lot of people have been requesting this as it impacts a lot of your guys' health and community's health. I'm excited to move forward, especially because we do see a lot of changes happening. I know the Air District is going to provide very good updates that residents are going to really enjoy and see a lot of progress in the SERPs. I want to thank Linguistica, Harder Company, and the Air District, and Carb being here and giving us all this positive information. I think we've moved along over the years, and we are finally seeing a lot of the fruit of the work that we've been working on. So welcome everybody, and let's have our meeting.
This is
Yeah,
Diana. Thank you, Bianca. Cesar.
yeah, thank you. Echoing the welcome from Bianca and also highlighting a part of the agenda, which is building consensus around some of the urban greening measures that came in. So thank you all for participating, and please feel free to jump in with any questions.
This is Diana. Thank you, Cesar. Now I'd like to pass it to the Air District to make some opening remarks.
Thank you, Diana. Hi, good evening, everyone. My name's Stephanie, and I am from the Valley Air District. And I just wanted to thank, as usual, Cesar and Bianca for helping us plan such an exciting meeting. I don't know if everyone knows, but today is Earth Day. And I can't think of a better way to spend Earth Day on such a beautiful, wonderful, clear day than to be in this meeting and to get to talk to you all about things like planting trees in the Arvin community. And also, like Bianca said, we have some great updates on purifiers and a couple of other programs. So really looking forward to tonight, and happy Earth Day, everyone.
This is
Thanks,
Diana.
Diana.
Thank you. Happy Earth Day. I'm going to reshare my screen to talk about some meeting logistics that you probably all are familiar with, but are good to remember. So first is a reminder about our Zoom naming conventions. So we use these naming conventions to track attendance for those of you who are participating in the stipend program, and just so we know who all of you all are. So for CSC members, we ask that you put the letters CSC in your name, and we see that a number of you have already done that. And for residents who are participating in the stipend program, please also add the letter R. If you are not able to change your Zoom name, one of us you'll probably see change your Zoom name at some point during the meeting. So that's what that is about. For others who are joining us who are not part of the CSC, if you could put the name of your agency at the end of your name so that we know who you are. And if you're a member of the public who's joining us, welcome. And we ask that you put the letter P as in public at the end of your name so that we know you're a member of the public, and this helps us track who to call on during our public comment periods. And again, you might see us changing your Zoom name if we know who you are and you haven't changed it yet. So thank you for doing that. I'm going to talk a little bit about our virtual meeting etiquette. So you are all great at this. And again, these are just reminders. When you're not speaking, if you could put yourself on mute. If you're calling in on the phone, you use *6. And if you have any questions during the meeting, please raise your hand. The exception to this is if you're not able to hear or the interpretation is getting mixed up. You don't have to raise your hand. You don't have to put it in the chat. Just unmute and jump up and down and let us know that the interpretation isn't working or the sound isn't working. And we could pause the meeting to adjust that. We have a reminder about the stipend program. So those of you who are participating in the stipend program, you need to stay on for 75% of the meeting. So generally that's about 90 minutes. So reminder about that. And then the final reminder is about how to have a productive and respectful discussion. And these are the group agreements that we've all decided on a long time ago and like to review before each meeting. So these agreements are especially important. We have a lot to talk about. Our co-hosts and Air District previewed all of the exciting things that we're going to talk about today, and we want to make sure that we have time for all of them. So the first agreement is to step up and step back. So if you're somebody who likes to speak a lot, we ask that you step back a little bit and have space for other people to share their questions and comments. And if you're somebody who doesn't often share, we invite you to step up and maybe share a question or a comment tonight. We also agreed to keep comments concise and connected to the agenda item that we're discussing. If we don't have time to get to everybody's questions, we will try to move people along and hear from people we haven't heard from yet. Another important agreement is to challenge ideas and not people. So we welcome disagreement. The whole point of this group is to have discussions. And at the same time, we want the comments and your questions to focus on the policies and the proposal, not the people or an assumption about where the person is coming from or what their intent is. If you have questions or comments during the meeting that don't relate directly to the topic that we're talking about, Amy or I might ask that we table that and make that an action item to come back to, just so that we have time to talk about all of the things that are on the agenda item today. And then that might become an agenda item for a future meeting. As we mentioned, it's a total privilege to be in this space with you, and really hope that you enjoy today's meeting. And so with that, I'm going to tell you what we're talking about today. So today's agenda, we're going to start as always with reviewing the action items tracker, and we'll do that in just a second. And then we're going to have an air monitoring update where you're going to hear the latest results from the air monitoring. The main agenda item for today is going to be, we're going to build consensus around some CERP measure implementation updates. So you'll hear an update on a couple different CERP measures and then have that opportunity to build consensus on one of them. We'll wrap up as usual with standing updates and then talking about upcoming agenda items and public comment. I'm going to stop sharing. So with that, I'm going to move us to our first agenda item, which is the action items tracker. And as you know, we during the meetings, Amy and I take notes about all of the topics and specifically note the things that are action items. So things that you all suggest that one of us follow up on and get more information and come back to you. And so we track all of those to ensure transparency. And then in the next meetings, we share the progress on those. So for this agenda item, Nancy is going to be providing updates only on the action items that are not included in other parts of today's agenda. So any items that were action items from before that relate to something that's going to be presented already in the agenda, she's not going to share those. So you'll see what happens with those. If you have any questions or comments related to an action item, we could track those also, and that makes sure that we have time for all the main agenda items today. So I'm going to pass it to Nancy, and then after Nancy presents her action items, we'll have a couple minutes if you have any clarifying questions on anything that she shared. So I'll pass it to you, Nancy.
Hi, thank you, Diana. This is Nancy. I will go ahead and share my screen and we can get started on the action items. And just as a routine, this is just going to be a routine check-in of the previous action items, so from last month. And let me go ahead and share my screen. Just one second, having a little bit of technical difficulties. All right, can everybody see that?
Yes.
Perfect, thank you. Okay, and as I was saying, these action items are just a routine check-in of the progress that we have made. And so I will go ahead and get started on that. Moving on to action item 58.1. This is in regards to any changes regarding district stationary source regulations that have been modified by the federal government. And so at this time, no changes have been made. No changes have been made to the district's stationary source regulation as a result of federal actions. We will continue to monitor for any changes and will keep the CSC informed. And as a reminder, we have our enforcement reports available on the Arvin Lamont community page in the reports and document archive section. And I can go ahead and drop the link in the chat in just a little bit. Moving on to the next action item, 58.2. And so this is in regard to the CSC to report to CARB about any idling concerns or where to deploy peaks events. And so peaks stands for Portable Emissions Acquisition System. And so please contact Michelle, who is your CARB liaison, for more information of where you would like to deploy a peaks event. And we also have information in the action item tracker itself on where to report concerns of idling. So these links are live. And additionally, we also do have a phone number where you can reach the MATs. And then the next two action items here. This is in regards to CARB and of course, also the air district. And so the first one is going to be CARB to investigate if it's possible to place no idling signs on El Camino Real in Arvin. And then so the next action item as well is CARB to follow feasibility of having a joint air district and CARB violation tracker. And so these two action items are being followed up. And of course, as soon as we have information, we will go ahead and share these updates with the committee. And lastly, action item 58.5, the air district and CARB to collaborate with CalGEM to follow up on CSC concerns related to pipelines underneath CSC resident housing in the boundary. And so, of course, the district is following up with CARB and relevant agencies on this request and will share updates when available. And so that concludes our action items for today. Happy to open up the floor to any questions. And if we need clarification for any of the action items that were said right now.
This
Go
is
ahead.
Diana. Thank you, Nancy. Are there any questions about any of the action items? Well, thank you. Then I'm going to pass it to Amy to kick off our first big agenda item.
Thank you, Diana. Happy evening, everyone. Hope you all are doing well wherever you find yourself this evening. We are now going to transition to the air monitoring update that will be provided by the Air District. So welcome, Alejandro, and welcome, Brad. In today's presentation, you'll have an opportunity to hear the regularly quarterly air monitoring update, where the Air District will share some recent data from the community, particularly around trends related to PM 2.5. And for tonight and always, as you listen to the presentation, we encourage you to think about the numbers themselves and, most importantly, what they mean for you and whether they reflect what you've been experiencing on a daily basis, so that as the presentation is given to you, you can sort of contextualize those findings and ask any questions that might spark your curiosity or that you might think it might feel unclear, maybe something's missing. This would be the opportunity for you to ask any questions. So to do so, if you could please raise your hand or put your question in the chat, and we will be sure to answer everyone's questions as you all raise your hands. So with that said, I'm going to pass it to Brad and Alejandro to walk us through the quarterly air monitoring update.
Thank you very much. I'm going to share my screen now. I hope everyone can see my screen now.
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
Awesome. Well, good evening. My name is Brad Dawson. I am the supervising air quality instrument specialist for all of the district's air monitoring projects for all the AB 617 programs. Joining me is Alejandro. He is one of the specialists that's in charge of doing all the maintenance and making sure that all the instruments for your community are operating. So he's the one that is actually in your community once or twice a week, sometimes 3 times, going out there, repairing everything and making sure that everything is calibrated, working right. And if we see that something is offline or not currently transmitting data, we're out there that same day or the next one just to get that stuff back up online. So kicking off our presentation, we're going to be talking about Q1 of 2026. So that's going to be January, February, and March of this year. We actually gave a presentation for the entire 2025 and Q4 of 2025 during some of the interesting events that were going on. And we're going to be able to highlight on those events that were occurring when we're actually giving a presentation from the previous year. So as we present, we're going to be focusing on where we are at in implementing all of the air monitoring sites for your community. We're also going to review and kind of talk about all the data that we collected in that Q1, so that January, February, and March of this year. And then have a couple other slides and then go over questions and comments at the end, because I think we're going to have some maybe some clarifying statements or anything else at the end. So we have a lot of information to share tonight. Right here is the map of where we are planning to put all the monitors at or have deployed those monitors at. The only 2 sites that we are still working on is Alicante Elementary. There is some electrical infrastructure issues that we are still working with the school district there. I'm in weekly conversations with them, their new superintendent, and trying to figure out where a best opportunity is to place a monitor at over there. And as well as DeGiorgio and Comanche, we keep on driving out there, seeing if there's someone that we can partner with to try to get a PM 2.5 monitor out in that location as well. And as you drive around your community, you may see some of these things poking over the side of a school building or over at Lamont, Lamont's Mountain View Middle School. It's right up in the front, or over at Arvin CSD. We have the big trailer there. These are just some of the examples of the monitors that we have deployed for your community. And again, we do have an air monitoring van where we can do specialized kind of where we can't get a regular air monitor at, but we do require some requirements such as security and other things, because we want to be out there for a long period if we're going to be deploying it out there. And that's kind of by request. We kind of do that for all the other communities as well. So some of our ongoing notes for your community, and please slow me down if I'm talking too fast for the translation as well. We are continuing to do air monitoring every single day in your community. As I mentioned before, we're still trying to locate proper monitoring sites for the DeGiorgio and Comanche, and working with Alicante Elementary School and the Lamont School District to try to get a site fully deployed over there. So just as an overall summary, PM 2.5 was higher than previous years, and that's actually something that we are looking at across all of our monitoring sites this last quarter. We also had a fire that was nearby that affected one of the sites as well, that hay fire. We talked about that last meeting as well, and how bad that was. We also had weather stagnation, which I'll be talking about in the next slide, that because of that weather pattern, it elevated PM 2.5 across the whole Central Valley. Once we did get some weather systems in, when we got some rain, some wind, that helped mix the air a little bit out. And we'll kind of show you on some of the graphs later on where the air quality improved, and you can see the dips and like, oh yeah, that's where the weather actually kind of cleaned out. We didn't have the fog. Everything was able to mix properly. And then again, on your community air monitoring page for the Arvin Lamont AB 617 community, we have all of our sites pushing live data to your community portal. So when in doubt, if you have any questions, go to your website for your community and look at those sites, and you can select which location is closest to you to figure out what that what the air quality is nearest to you. So I have rearranged some of the slides. So if you're following at home today, this was handed out in the packets as slide 11. I've moved it up to the beginning because what we experienced in 2026 in the first quarter was kind of not abnormal. We see this every year, but for how long it happened, it's kind of out of the norm. And so we did see elevated PM 2.5 across all of our districts, including Arvin Lamont. So we have shared this slide in this graphic before, but we're going to kind of talk a little bit more about the weather that we did see. And when you listen to the weather guy or gal on TV, they speak about like a high pressure or a low pressure system moving through, and no one really knows what that means. And I'm going to kind of give a little bit of a background just because our atmospheric team did do a lot of data analysis of what was going on in your community during this time period. So a high pressure system usually means calm, still air with very little wind, very little air movement through. When that happens, pollution, it has a harder time spreading out and just tends to build up. So day by day by day by day, pollution just continuously builds up upon itself. And we don't have that opportunity to kind of move it around or disperse it more. On the other hand, when there's a low pressure system, there's a lot of movement in the air, usually with stronger winds, some rain maybe. Yesterday, I think the whole Central Valley, we experienced a low pressure system coming through the valley. We had a tornado in Fresno, which is unheard of, but kids had to stay at school for a little bit longer, and I had to wait for them. But that's the difference between a high and a low pressure system. In the colder months, specifically January, February, March, our winter time, a high pressure system creates that layer of warmer air above and cooler air below near this ground. And this temperature inversion just acts as a lid, as displayed in this infographic right here on the slide, that just traps that pollution closer to the surface, reducing how much air we have in our atmosphere closer to the ground. When the air is stable, not moving around a lot, PM 2.5 really can't move and spread out properly and just continues to build up. So in this January and February, as I've been saying, we experienced very long periods of this high pressure and very stable conditions. The winds were weak and our air didn't mix very well, and a strong inversion layer was present. This led to fog that we probably all noticed, and stagnant air. Fog necessarily isn't an indication of bad air or bad air quality. However, the fog is just another weather phenomenon that is created when these conditions persist. So we do have raising PM 2.5, and we also sometimes have fog as well. I just wanted to make sure that fog, when I say fog, it's just something that we can relate to because we see that when we're trying to go to work in the morning or anything like that. But fog in it itself is not actually pollution or anything like that. So in mid-February, we did have some weather improvements with a low pressure system moving in, bringing in some rain and wind, and this helped clean out some of that pollution. And then in March, more stable conditions returned where we kind of saw PM 2.5 increasing a little bit. And like I said, the length of these high pressure system that we saw is uncommon, but it does occur once in a while. So because of the length and the duration of this high pressure system, we had some of the highest PM 2.5 averages, which we will share in the following slides. And before we get into that data, I do see Mario has his hand up. I'm hoping I can answer that question real quick.
Yeah, I got this question for you. I seen some fog on like real hot days on a location, and you were saying that that's not like same contamination or chemicals reacting or something like that. You know, like that fog coming out of the ground.
I'm not sure on the specific of what you experienced at that time, but I'm just talking about fog in general. When we had
Yeah,
a lot of those foggy day schedules, specifically in the January and March, January, February, and March time period.
yeah, because we had hot days on those days too.
Usually when it starts to warm up, that will break the fog up and the inversion layer will actually end up rising. But in the colder mornings where it
No,
like
this
really
is
settles down.
it was like 12 o'clock lunchtime, and I seen a real heavy fog on a location, and I mean it caught my eye. It just made me wonder, you know, how could we see fogs in a hot day?
There could be a lot of moisture in the soil evaporating due to the sunlight and raising temperatures. Those would be like individual, very remote instances. I can't really speak too much on that because I'm not an atmospheric scientist. That's another team that gave me all these words to say today. But yeah, there could be localized phenomenon where you do have a lot of evaporation from high moist soils due to higher heat. Actually, that's what caused the hay fire, was that there's a lot of moisture in those hay piles, and then heat came over and it created a spontaneous combustion. It sometimes happens in the agricultural communities where you have that spontaneous combustion due to high moisture and high temperatures at the same time. But I'm
Well,
going to hand it off.
this location where I seen it was dry grass. It didn't look like it had any moist or any water or anything like that. And that's why I'm asking, you know.
Yeah, if it's a very specific, I'm talking very general terms of what we saw throughout the whole Central Valley, including Arvin, Lamont, when we did have those high fog days, and that inversion layer was in effect. But if there was something specific, I can't really speak too much on that.
Well,
But with that, we need to move forward with the data so we can kind of go through with how what we did see. Sorry, I'm scrolling through too quickly. I'm going to hand it off over to Alejandro to kind of explain what we saw over the last quarter.
All right, thanks, Brad. So for those that missed Brad mentioning it, I'm the instrument specialist in charge of doing maintenance for the monitors in Arvin, Lamont. So let's kick things off. So in this slide, it's the average of PM 2.5 over the last quarter, which includes the months of January, February, and March. The concentration of PM 2.5 is shown on the left-hand side, while each site is listed on the bottom. Also at the bottom is a legend for what year each bar corresponds to. Also to note, we place the annual PM 2.5 health-based standard of 9 here on the chart, and it's there as a metric to compare an annual standard against this quarterly average. So for quarter one of 2026, it was higher than previous years. This was due to the weather conditions Brad discussed just a moment ago. This increase was also seen at the nearest regulatory monitoring site located in Bakersfield, as you see on the right-hand side of the chart. Next slide, please, Brad. All right. So on the last slide, we compared the entire quarter of 2026 against previous years. Now we dive a little deeper and show the monthly averages of PM 2.5 per site. Like on the previous slide, on the left is the PM 2.5 concentration, and at the bottom are the months. So each site's monthly average is shown with the legend at the bottom to identify each site. The annual health-based standard is also shown here, again, as a metric to compare against. So in this data, we see that PM 2.5 averages decrease as more favorable weather breaks up the dispersion layer that was present in January and into the beginning of February. In the next slide, this change will be more noticeable. Next slide, please. All right, so on this slide, we're now looking at the daily averages of PM 2.5. We started by looking at the 3-month average, then monthly averages, and now we're at daily. So like in the previous slides, PM 2.5 concentration is on the left, but instead of the annual standard, we've included the 24-hour health-based standard of 35, as well as our RAN levels. So that stands for Real-Time Air Advisory Network. And they're there to help show the different air quality levels. So on the bottom are the dates of the data and a legend that indicates what each RAN level color corresponds to. There's also a gray shadow area on the chart that shows the previous year's daily max values against all of the sites from this quarter. So as you can see, starting in early January, PM 2.5 started to rise due to the poor weather we had mentioned previously. But in mid-February, we started getting more favorable weather helping out. There's another PM increase in mid-March due to the same weather conditions we saw in January, but not as drastic. Also, if you notice, there's a peak around January, actually on January 27th, that we recorded at Mountain View Middle School. So this was due to a hay fire nearby. The district did issue public warnings on our social media platforms regarding the high readings, and our compliance team was investigating and monitoring the site until it was fully extinguished. So in this monitoring period, this quarter, we had 4 days, excluding the peak we saw on January 27th due to the hay fire. So just 4 days where the RAN level was unhealthy for sensitive groups. The rest of the quarter was under the 24-hour health-based standard of 35. So with that, it concludes my part of the presentation. We'll take questions at the end. I'll let Danny take it from here.
Thanks, Alejandro. Good evening, everybody. Danny Gonzalez at the Outreach and Communications team at the Valley Air District. And so we want to just re-emphasize here an important point of how we communicate real-time air quality impacts to the community during events such as what you see here on your screen, such as hay fires. Clearly, we use direct language, making sure that we emphasize what exactly is happening in the community, how it's impacting you. And really what we strive to communicate is, well, what is happening? What are those potential health impacts that you may face, especially if you're near that fire? What to look for, right? Visible smoke, ash, or strong odor, and what to do, making sure that you are checking air quality and taking the steps to protect your health. Really, we want to make sure that we are providing residents with real-time data through our air community air monitoring portals, and making sure that the residents stay informed and up to date. So we do that through all our social media channels, making sure that that information is accessible to you. And if it's ever occurring during the weekday or school hours, we are also ensuring that communication is being shared to schools as well. Next slide. And as always, we want to remind residents on how exactly do we file an air pollution complaint if someone in your community, a neighbor or a business, is doing something that is potentially harming the air quality in your community. And so community reporting plays a critical role in helping us respond to air quality concerns. Just as a reminder, residents can always report concerns online, by phone, or through the Valley Air app. Complaints are responded to year-round by trained air quality inspectors, and all information is kept confidential. So please make sure that if you are in that situation, it is important to report that, file the complaint. There will be no repercussions, and at the end of the day, it's to protect your own community and your own health and your neighbors as well. Thank you, and I will hand it back to Brad.
Thank you very much, Danny. And that concludes our presentation. I will open it up now for comments if anyone has any questions or anything like that. or I can move it back over to a previous slide since I'm still presenting. I think I see Bianca's hand.
Yes, I do have a couple questions in regards to the spike ups. I was trying to look online when the fire actually that's a perfect slide. The hay fire that you were mentioning, and I don't see anything close by. I do see that there was one on January January the 14th. And I don't see it at anything in there. I see it on the 13th, I'm sorry, the 14th, but it was on the 13th night. Um where it says poor dispensary or stagnation. But there was an actual fire inside of the Lamont area. And the hay fire that I was trying to look for, there was one, but it was really outside of the Lamont area. So I want to make sure that we have the correct information, and if you have that information so we could at least compare. Um I noticed that there's a lot of PM 2.5 spike ups. I did get a lot of updates from your website. I signed up, and it's alarming because we try to pinpoint what is the issue, but there's other factors also. In the winter time, that's when fumigation starts to happen. That's when fires start to happen. There's growers that get permits to burn their crops, and we want to make sure that if those are the circumstances, can we compare them? Do you guys have the data? So we at least compare that there's actual permits from growers that wanted to burn their crops or burn their trash. So at least we know that there's a correlation onto this, because I understand that there's fog and weather does play a lot of the factors, but if we have really bad air contamination, it sticks into the fog, and that's when it creates those issues with the PM 2.5. And it's alarming for residents that have to deal with respiratory issues. So I just want to make sure that anybody in the air district could pass that information along, or if you guys have it, at least we could see it and compare.
Yeah, just to speak on some of those points, and I can't speak on some of the other ones, because it's just not my in my purview. But yeah, so we did notice that starting in right around January 10th, 11th, 12th is where we started seeing the what we call the high pressure system moving in and kind of trapping that air with that inversion layer. And that's when we started seeing the PM 2.5 increasing all the way into February. The hay fire was on the 27th, and that was the one big peak. Other sites, such as some of the air monitoring sites for the regulatory network that are located in Bakersfield, were actually impacted further, more than the sites that we had developed for the Arvin Lamont community, just due to the local weather patterns. It was kind of pushing the smoke different ways. That's why you see that the Mountain View Middle School being so affected, but a lot of the other schools, sites that were in Arvin, kind of all trended a little bit closer to each other. And that was a big outlier. And that's when we were like, what's going on out there? And that's when we found out that there was a hay fire going on. And that the other department, our compliance team, was already investigating that because we did see complaints coming in. So just to recap off of what Danny was saying earlier, that's why complaints are so necessary, because it's you guys, the communities, are the first people to see a lot of these kind of things, and being able to notify us as soon as you notice something is going on, we can get on top of it even sooner. Outside of that, regarding the burns and the burn permits and those kind of things, that's our compliance team. I don't know if Heather wanted to speak or Stephanie wanted to speak on to that at all. Stephanie's already raised her hand.
Yeah. Thanks, Brad. Hi, everyone. This is Stephanie from the Air District. Thanks, Brad, for responding. I did want to touch on a couple of things that Bianca mentioned just related to burning that you may be experiencing in the community. At this point, most and the majority of ag burning should be phased out. And so if you do, there are some really small select instances that it could still be allowed if there's no other option, but this should be only happening on days that the conditions could allow for it. But generally, overall, really most of the ag burning in the valley has been phased out at this point. And then trash, that's one thing. And though I will say, if you do observe anything in the community that's like that and you're not sure, should it be happening, should it not be happening, we just definitely encourage you to just give us a call and let us know because we can go out and investigate it. If it shouldn't be happening, we'll certainly work with the folks. If we need to issue any violations or anything of that nature, our staff will do that. And that if that's related to agricultural burning, I will say though, Bianca also mentioned burning trash, and I will just say flat out, burning trash in the community is illegal. And so if you see anything like that in the community, please give us a call, and our compliance staff definitely can head out and investigate that. Those are all definitely things that we would love to hear from you all so we can make sure that everyone is following all the kind of rules and regulations that we have at the district. Go ahead, Bianca.
I just wanted to do the follow-up in regards to I'm so sorry. Brain fart. I'm so sorry. In regards to like the hay fire, was there any uh aftermath of that hay fire? Was a grower re did they get any violation? How close was it from the monitor? So we at least we kind of know if it was correlated to it and how much did it impact.
This is Stephanie. I don't know exactly kind of if there was a violation that was issued, but really the first thing that we do when these kinds of things happen, because oftentimes we find that for these types of fires, things can happen, that the facility isn't even aware of, and they immediately are trying to respond to kind of correct what's happening, and that's what happened in this situation. Really early on, when our compliance team was aware of the fire at the facility, they worked immediately with the Kern County Fire Department to respond to it, along with kind of working with our agency. And so that, like, all of that is a very typical part of the way that we respond when we see these things happening in the community, is really close coordination with the facility and with the appropriate kind of emergency services like the fire department to make sure they can immediately go out and try and get that fire put out. What was the other part of your question, Bianca?
No, that was it. Thank you.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
This is Amy. Thank you so much. And for those of you who are keeping track of all of the content online, you can look on the chat and see hyperlinks directly to the presentation. It's available online for you to download. I'm looking around my boxes here and not seeing any more hands raised. Anyone else have a question before we move on?
Hi, I know this is probably a different group in the Air District is probably more compliant, but I was wondering if we could also get updates on the other like regulatory monitors that are in the area, like the current energy fence line monitor. I'm signed up for the notifications. There's been 9 exceedances this year for their fence line monitoring system. The earliest being this morning. Yeah, this morning at 7:52 a.m. the monitor spiked as well and sent another notification. So I'm wondering if maybe we can get any updates on why the monitor's spiking so much, and if there was any like investigations or resolutions that found the reoccurring issue, which seems to be hydrogen sulfide.
Yeah, I don't know if Stephanie, did you want to jump into that? Sorry, it's a multifaceted thing. There's definitely a compliance aspect of it, and the compliance department is in charge of the facility specifically, as well, and looking at those notifications. I get those notifications as well, and the Mountain View Middle School, we do compare when I get those notifications as well. We do investigate those as well and kind of do our own reporting of those and kind of looking at the weather patterns and other things to figure kind of, is this something that's actually happening? Last one, we got some really high values and then they retracted them saying that it was an instrument error. But we do keep track of all those exceedances or any of those notifications that they come through. And then also write up an internal report on each individual one. And Alejandro was doing that this morning, actually.
Sweet, thank you. Yeah, I think maybe if some of the results from those reports could be shared, I think that'd be helpful. Because I do remember it happened January 14th when the exceedances were like, they were like in the thousands, which is crazy. But I think the monitoring system has been fixed since then, and these 9 exceedances have been since the 14th, I believe. So they're still going on, and I think I'd definitely be interested in figuring out if there's like any remediation or identification of the recurring source of H2S.
This is Stephanie, and Brad took the words out of my mouth. I just wanted to just make sure that folks are aware that in addition to, tracking what's happening on the community monitoring side, our monitoring team does monitor closely what's also happening with that fence line monitor. And like Brad said, when we need to coordinate with our compliance team, when we see those, like we do that, for that monitor and all of our community monitors as well. And so I appreciate the feedback. I do think maybe in an upcoming air monitoring update, we can plan to look into adding some of that data in coordination with, we can work with Current Energy and see what kind of update makes sense in the next air monitoring update that we give.
Sweet, thank you. Yeah, and I think the reason I ask is because on the incident for the 14, they sent out an email explaining that the exceedance was due to like a sensor error, but I've never seen any email be sent out for any of the other exceedances explaining why they happened or where they came from. And I would love for that to be the norm. So I'm just wondering why that happened for something that was a non-issue, but not for something that may be a reoccurring issue. So I would like if that could be the reaction for every spike on behalf of the refinery, I think that it would help cut down on having to ask the district about these things.
Thanks, Cesar. I'm taking note of that.
This is Amy. Thank you, Cesar. That will definitely be part of the action items. Any other questions or comments before we transition on to our next agenda item for this evening?
With that silence, I'll just say thank you very much for letting us present today, and thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Brad and Alejandro. Appreciate the updates, and we look forward to hearing updates next quarter. So with that said, we will transition to our next agenda item, which is building consensus around some of the implementation of the CERT measures. We're going to spend about 40 minutes, maybe a little bit less. I'm looking at the clock. It's 5:57. We have a lot to get through. I'm really excited. I think you all are going to be really excited to hear some of these updates on how some of these measures are going. And most importantly, I think you all are going to be really excited about the potential of making some modifications to existing programs by expanding the programs and not necessarily having to talk about reallocation of funds. So our goal with this agenda item is for all of the CSC to hear each of the updates around each of the measures and have a full understanding of what those updates are, where maybe some gaps are, and then be ready to arrive at consensus. And so what does that mean for you? That means that you have a clear understanding of all the things that I've just mentioned, and you're ready to either agree or disagree with the potential shifts in program expansion, and then potentially providing any recommendations that would be needed for us to move to a vote at our next meeting if needed. With that said, I'm going to pass it to the Air District, specifically to Stephanie, to provide us with an update. Stephanie?
Thank you, Amy. And I just wanted to take a second to thank Brad and Alejandro for the presentation. I know they only come normally about once a quarter, but just want you to know, like Brad said, Alejandro is pretty much out in the community every single week, multiple times. And if you see him, say hi to him. But if you all have questions, I just want to encourage you all to always reach out to them. You don't have to just see them just this one time, through the quarter. They're always happy to answer any questions that you all might have. I have quite a few updates. Like Amy said, I think it wasn't exactly on purpose, but I think it's so fitting that we get to talk about urban greening and vegetative barriers on Earth Day today. So I have a few updates on a handful of programs during the agenda setting. And again, I just want to thank all of you who take the time to attend our agenda settings, provide updates on kind of what you want to see in the next meeting. We did hear from folks at the agenda setting meeting that they wanted to hear updates on kind of how a lot of our CERT measures are doing. And so we have an agenda or a presentation that we hope covers a lot of this. I'm going to kick it off actually first with urban greening. A few updates for you all for this measure, and just a reminder, we have $500,000 set aside to tackle urban greening projects in the Arvin Lamont boundary. A couple of kind of reminders of kind of where we are at right now is that we did open the request for proposal or RFP at the end of February. And we had it open for about 30 days. And you all will recall that in the last couple of meetings, we actually had both the city of Arvin and Kern County attend meetings to share their plans for the proposal and just their ideas for how they would potentially implement these projects in the community. The request for proposal closed at the end of March, and I'm super happy to share with you all that we did receive applications from the city of Arvin and from Kern County. Now, I will let you know that our district team is still reviewing both proposals. They aren't just kind of a simple back and forth form. We actually do require, as a part of this this proposal, and just to know that these agencies are kind of, planting the trees and they have a good budget for all of it. It's actually, a pretty lengthy application. So our team has to go through and still review and make sure that everything is kind of all good with those applications. So today I'm just going to present kind of a high level overview of the two proposals that we got from Kern County and the city of Arvin. And then actually in the next meeting, we'll kind of do something a little bit more in depth. So if you have questions, which I do think some of you might, just because we don't have all the details tonight, I encourage you that we'll just know that we will go over something more in depth in the next meeting. So the city of Arvin is proposing their budget is $250,000, which is about half of that total funding in the CERP. They have a few locations that they are proposing to plant at, and I am going to say the names, but I apologize if I butcher any of these. Smotherman Park, DeGiorgio Park, Felicita Park, and then different street quarters along Hill Street, Tejon Highway, Mahin Drive, and then also a few surrounding residential neighborhoods. A project partner that they've identified that they do want to work with is Bakersfield College, and they do estimate that they want to plant around 150 trees and have this project completed in about 2 years. Kern County also applied for $250,000. So again, that other half of kind of what's allocated in the CERP. As you all might recall, when Kern County did come, they did share that they really want to focus these plantings at Lamont Park. They do plan to provide maintenance through the Kern County General Services, and they plan to plant 54 trees throughout the Lamont Park, again, also in about 2 years. And so Again, these are just kind of high level details about the two proposals we received. We are working on processing applications for both of those. And once our review is complete, we will provide kind of a bigger, more detailed update to you all, which we aim to bring to you actually, hopefully in the next May meeting. That's the plan. We're hopefully, if we don't hear any objections to that proposal, we'll actually be able to move forward with those so that we can hopefully get some of these groups planting trees soon in the community. And Mario, I see your hand up. Go ahead.
Yes, I was gonna ask you, they planting any trees right there in Fuller Acre Park?
This is Stephanie. Kern County let us know that there are their main plantings will happen in Lamont Park. I do believe that from what I understand, there's a lot of I don't know that there's necessarily room at Fuller Acres Park, and so they are planning on prioritizing Lamont Park because there is the availability of space to add more trees to that area.
Okay, Lamont Park, they're gonna build a whole park, a new park, right there. They said there was gonna plant trees and stuff like that. And I was just wondering if Fuller Acres could get a couple, trees for their little park.
This is Stephanie. I do think this is the proposal that we received from Kern County of what they think is possible to do with this funding. We do in the May meeting plan to have both agencies represented so they can answer questions. So Mario, we can come back to that in May. We don't need to make any decisions about anything tonight. So I think, that's a great clarifying question that we can ask Kern County in the next meeting, if you're okay pitting that
Yeah.
question for May.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. All right. I will move on to vegetative barriers. The other half of our tree planting projects in the SERP, we have about $500,000. We have $500,000 for vegetative barrier projects within the Arvin Lamont boundary. As you all remember, we did open an RFP and we received one proposal that the CSC did not want to move forward with. And given that feedback, we did go through and open up the request for proposal again at the end of March. It is currently open right now, and it will be open for 45 days. Nancy, can you put actually the end date for the proposal, where the 45 days takes us into the chat? Nancy will drop that into the chat, and once it's there, I'll verbalize it for everyone. But it's open for 45 days. It should be mid-March, or sorry, mid-May. And we right now with the phase that we are at is because it's currently open, we are trying to do outreach to anyone that we think could be interested and apply for these funds. So we've been reaching out to partnering agencies, businesses. We have gotten feedback from some community members about where people that they want us to reach out to, and we certainly want those recommendations. So if there is any contact information that you have of someone that could be interested, please let us know. I know Nancy on my team is doing calls all the time to people that could be interested and sending out emails. And so it's currently open. Let folks know that you think could apply. If you have contact information, we are happy to reach out, but it's currently open. And likely in the next meeting, we'll be able to give some more updates about how that process is going. And I'm just seeing from Nancy, the request for proposal for vegetative barriers will close on May 14th. So those are updates that we have about our vegetative barrier and urban greening programs. I'm going to take a step back and kind of provide some high-level overviews of all of our programs. The feedback that we heard is folks kind of want to hear how all of our measures are doing. So I'll do this kind of at a higher level, and then we're actually going to dig into a couple of our programs more specifically with some program details that are actually a little bit more timely and kind of that we have recent updates on. One of those, I'm not going to get into too much detail. You see residential air filtration. I will get into more of that later in the meeting. But we have a handful of our other residential programs that are going super well. Our repair program, our lawnmower program that I know a lot of you have been able to exchange it through the events that we do in the community. And our passenger vehicle replace program, all doing super good. We're seeing a lot of applications, and we are doing a ton of outreach at events, and so we're seeing some really great participation rates across all of those programs.
Stephanie, this is Amy. I see Bianca has her hand raised. I don't know if you can wait, Bianca, or you want to address it now.
Oh, it was on the last topic on the vegetative barriers, but I could wait.
Thank you. Go ahead, Stephanie.
Perfect. The next kind of bucket of measures, I just talked about how some of our residential measures are going. Some of the measures that are more for public agencies and businesses are on this slide. And a couple that I'll actually kind of highlight for you because I want to talk a little bit more about them is in the next slide, I'm going to talk about, or I think in 2 slides, I'm going to talk about our public fleet vehicle program, which we could certainly use more your help on because we're not seeing a ton of applications currently. We have 0 applications actually right now in the community for this program. So that's one I'd like to share a little bit more information about. We have a couple of agricultural programs, the alternatives to agricultural burning, and then our agricultural equipment replacement program that are both we're seeing pretty strong participation in, and we continue to see applications for both of those regularly. Our heavy duty truck measure, I know we've talked about this one a lot, still continues to face challenges in getting applications. You all heard from CARB in the last meeting about some of those challenges that are happening, kind of implementing things, regulations kind of on the mobile source side. So this is one that we continue to keep an eye on. If we see any participation, of course, we would follow up with folks and kind of let them know about the program. But this is also a measure that we continue to kind of keep an eye on to see if there's, other opportunities that we can see throughout the SERP to support other measures. And then in this slide, we do have updates kind of with these are our measures that are more towards like kind of generally in the community and in schools. I just went over 2 of the other ones that aren't on this slide, which is urban greening and vegetative barriers. But in addition to that, we still have room to see more applications come in for our commercial lawn and garden side. So I talked about our residential one to kind of for residents to switch out their lawnmowers. We also have this program on the commercial side for businesses, kind of or schools that have larger, more commercial lawn equipment to replace their equipment. So if you know anyone that could take advantage, definitely send them our way. And then our school bus replacement measure, a couple updates I'll share here is that we are still working on with Vineland School District who applied. We're still processing those applications. They have some, I think there was some staffing changes at that school. And so I think they're still working through kind of the application process. And so that is still something that we are working towards processing. But right now we still have some work to do with that school district to kind of move forward their applications. So at this point, I'm actually going to jump into some more specific program details about some of like I said, that was just a high level preview of how all of our measures are doing. I'm going to jump into a couple that we could maybe use your help on or want to provide some more specific updates on. The first being public fleet vehicles. We have $400,000 set aside in the SERP to support this measure, and we have not received any applications yet. But we are still hopeful because this is generally a pretty popular program through the district. And as a reminder, this is a program that provides funding to public agencies. So that could be anything like a city or a county, potentially a special water district, any kind of public educational institutions. Those could all be groups that could apply for this funding. And something that I want to make sure that folks are aware of as a little different from some of our other programs is, for example, our passenger vehicle replacement program, the vehicle program that you all know, That one is a replacement program where you have to have a 2006 or older vehicle that you are trading in to kind of get that incentive amount. This public fleet vehicle program is actually, they don't need to do a replacement. It could be an expansion of their fleet. And so that's something that I definitely want folks to keep in mind when participating. It's not something that requires a replacement. Folks can just apply and kind of get this cleaner vehicle into their fleet. And again, this is open to like schools, public agencies, and different special districts. Right now, we are working on outreach for this measure, but we definitely encourage you to share any contacts with us if you have them. We have certainly been talking to some of these agencies, but if you have additional contacts, definitely let us know. And I do know that I just recently talked to Bianca, even just yesterday, I think in preparation for this meeting, that I know that she's done some outreach to the city as well. And it sounds like some folks are interested in applying, which is all really good news. But there is plenty of funding here remaining. So please let us know if there's any contacts that you have that could be interested in this. I'll pause here for a second. I do see a hand up.
This is Amy. Mario, go ahead with your question.
Yeah, my question was about the buses for the schools. And he was mentioning Sunset did a application, but Alicante too did an application. Are they still included or they didn't do the application after all?
This is Stephanie. I am seeing we had Vineland School District apply. I don't think we had an application from Alicante, but if they are interested, they would be eligible for it.
Yeah, because my understanding was they applied.
Okay. We haven't had anything in-house, but Mario, if you know of someone who's like let you like a contact at the school, that has let you know they're interested, definitely send them our way. Because right now we do not have an application for them for electric school buses.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Though I will say we are not the only agency that has funding for electric school buses, which is a good thing. There's other pots of funding, for example, through even the EPA. So it could be the case that folks can take advantage of other funding opportunities, but through our program, I don't see any applications for Alicante. Go ahead,
Thank
Tim.
you, Mario. Go ahead, Tim. Sorry.
I had a question regarding the public fleet vehicles. I know it's a public fleet vehicle, but my question is if a special district applies for it and instead of using it to purchase a vehicle, they use it to purchase a riding lawnmower, which is getting an electrified riding lawnmower, which they would use in their facilities, could that qualify?
This is Stephanie. Lawn equipment would not be a part of this, though if they had an older piece of equipment that they want to replace, you could apply for the commercial lawn and garden program. I will say also, and I'm so glad you brought it up, Tim, because we were even talking with Bianca and Cesar about this yesterday of just wanting to make sure that folks are aware it's not just only exclusively like passenger vehicles. I also want to make folks aware, it could be even something like a golf carts would be eligible for this program too. I know like those like electric utility carts. That's something that could potentially be applied for through this program. And they are, they're less funding or they're less expensive than just like a regular like van or car. And so I think we get a lot of interest in those because it's something that's a little bit more feasible, especially now as things are getting so expensive. So folks that do need that utility carts or things of that nature, quite a significant amount can be covered through this program.
Okay.
Thanks, Tim, for that question. And I do see Christine has a question in the chat. For this program, there is for the kind of amount that someone could get, we offer up to 20,000. For AB 617 communities, there is no cap on how many times an agency can apply for this program. Outside of 617 communities, there is. I hope, Christine, that answers your question. Let me know if you have any other questions. Go for it, Bianca.
I do have a couple questions on the other slides, but for the commercial lawn and garden, it's an exchange program. I just want to make sure that I did get that information right or not.
Hi, Bianca. Yes. I wonder, I don't know if Heather is here. I know that in our residential program, we do have a portion of that program that is you can get a small amount for the purchase of a new unit, but it is much smaller than the kind of other incentive amount bucket. But I don't know, Heather, I don't know if you're there, if there's something like that similar in the commercial program or anyone from the OC side.
Are you saying for the this is Heather, for a straight purchase without replacement? I'm sorry, I didn't quite understand the question.
Yes. Is there that kind of component on the commercial side like there is in the residential side?
No, I don't believe there is. I believe it's all replacement.
Awesome.
Okay, thank you. And then I have another question in regards to the vegetative barriers. It does it have the same criteria as the urban greening as long as there's a grower that is open to submit a partial application, can their application be submitted and then followed up just to make sure they have enough time or just to submit all the correct documents? I know the application's a little bit long, but I was wondering if we do outreach one of the growers and they're interested at least to submit something, can they do that, or it has to be fully completed by the date?
This is Stephanie. We do ask for folks that apply to really complete as much of the application. Like we do hope to see a complete application because that allows us to actually understand kind of everything that they want to do for the proposal. And technically through this proposal, it is a competitive solicitation. And so if we receive, for example, say we do receive multiple applications that, all want to go for the full amount. Should that be the case, we would actually score them next to each other. And, the applications that are more complete, make sure that they hit all the parts of the RFP. Those would be the ones that would likely score higher and that we would be likely to award. Now that doesn't always happen that we, receive, a ton. I know it's happened where maybe we've just received the one application, but I do want to say that this is a competitive solicitation. And so technically we want a complete application or one as complete as possible so we can make sure that they're kind of scoring high in the RFP criteria to be selected. Now, that being said, we certainly want to see this program happen in the community. We know it's definitely a high priority, so we really will try and work with anyone that's interested, as they apply for the program. If we hear of someone that, needs help or at least has questions that we can help answer, we will try our best to try and assist with it where we can.
I'm seeing another question, Stephanie, from Christine. Can the public fleet program be stacked with the public benefit program that is on the Air District site?
Oh, this is Stephanie. Those are actually the same programs. I'm calling it the public fleet vehicle program because that's the CERT measure that we've kind of worked on. But when you find it on our district program, we actually kind of more generally call it our public benefit program because there's a couple of other parts of the program.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you. I always love it when folks are doing all of their research and asking those questions. Thank you. I'm going to keep moving along. Another program that I just wanted to highlight is that the passenger vehicle replacement program. Again, so this is going to transition. I just talked about vehicles that were available for public agencies, maybe schools or cities or counties. I'm going to transition us to kind of the more passenger vehicles. So that's any kind of residents in the community could apply for their own personal vehicles. We have $5 million allocated in the CERP, and we are a good way through it. We're about $3.8 million through. We have 240 applications that we have received through the program. As a reminder, Valley CAN, or Valley Clean Air Now, our partner in this program, they do host monthly in-person workshops for interested applicants. Arvin and Lamont actually gets an extra boost because you all actually get two events per month, because we do one in Arvin and we do one in Lamont normally. And so we're continuing to see those workshops happening, and we of course continue to do outreach across social media, radio, different digital ads. This is one that I think generally right now there is still funding remaining, but it's certainly one that we want to keep an eye on, because I could see this program getting to a place where it could be the case that we run out of funding. So if that's the case, I think it definitely is a good candidate for potentially a funding reallocation at some point. And then I know that lots of folks are aware of this program, our residential lawn and garden program. We have $475,000 allocated in the SERP, and so far we are about $361K through that. We've done a handful of events in the community, and I want to appreciate you all because we see such amazing participation in the community when we hold these events. You all tell your friends, your neighbors about it, you all show up to them. And so we definitely have been able to do a lot of units both in those events and outside of them. We do want to potentially hold one additional event in the fall. There's some work we need to do with Valley Can to actually work this out and plan it. And we'll, of course, you all will be the first to know as we're starting to plan that event. But we do, in the meantime, continue to, do social media, post on Facebook groups, Nextdoor, to promote this program. And we do tend to see bumps as we're hitting in the springtime. So definitely let your neighbors and friends know about this opportunity. And then I'll move us over to our residential air filtration program, or otherwise we also call it our clean air rooms program, because we through this program for when folks get a purifier, we encourage folks to set up a clean air room in their home. There is 250,000 allocated in the SERP, and this is something that actually just happened just in September, that we were able to open up the program. And we're already seeing lots of great progress. We have spent $216,000. And I do want to note that if you're following the little bar graphs on the bottom, there are little bar graphs that have different colors, the different green colors at the bottom. The dark green is indicating what's been spent, and then the light green is indicating what's remaining. I will note, if you all are tracking the numbers, this one is a little bit off. That dark green bar of what's been spent actually should be much further on this, because there's actually only $33,000 left in this measure. So we're really almost through all of the funding that's been allocated in the SERP. We have been promoting the program at different in-person events, through social media, at schools. We actually did an awesome mail campaign that I'm going to give a few updates as well on. So pretty recently, really based on feedback that we got from a lot of you in our community steering committees, we worked with our advertising agency to send out a targeted mailer with information on how to apply for the program within AB 617 boundaries. We actually did it across all 4 of our AB 617 communities. In this community, we had over 8,000 mailers delivered. And this is the mailer. I wonder if you all did get it. I hope all of you got it, but if you did get it, I'm just curious if you can raise your hand or put it in the chat if you saw it. I'd appreciate it, because we definitely want to make sure that these are getting out into the community. We were kind of joking with the co-leads yesterday that this is Danny in the picture from our outreach and communications team, who you all probably see at events. Say hi to him if you see him out there. His face is famous, hopefully, in the Arvin Lamont community, because we really hope that everyone got this mailer for what we hope is the second time, actually, the second mailer that people will have gotten from our district. Following this mailer, we have seen a huge increase in calls and inquiries. I think we saw probably across all 4 of our communities. I don't know the exact numbers, but we got hundreds of applications following this postcard mailing campaign. So Really excited to see those numbers. And that's really the big jump that we saw in the program stats of why we're pretty much close to exhausting the funding is, I think, in a good part to this postcard. And again, these are the social media. If you, so we did a mail campaign. We're also in kind of the middle of a big social media campaign too. I hope a lot of folks are seeing our ads. If you're on Facebook or Instagram, for example, or X, we have these ads running right now that encourage folks to apply for a free air purifier. And then these are just some pictures of some of the events that we've gone to recently. We definitely encourage you if there are things happening in the community. And for the most, I think lots of folks have actually let us know of events. But we ask that you do continue that. If there's things going on in the boundary, please let us know. And we love to attend and we love to go out in the community.
This is Amy, Stephanie. A
Mhm.
couple questions for you before you go on to the next one. What are the battery issues, or what about the battery issues with the lawn equipment? Can we
Yeah.
fund extra batteries? And then the second question around eligibility. So are there any eligibility requirements other than living in the boundary for the air purifiers?
Thank you. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so I can see everyone right now. Great questions. I know that there was some conversation and discussion that came up in the agenda setting related to the batteries. First and foremost, if folks are having issues with the batteries, or if you know of anyone having issues with the batteries that they may have received from the devices from any of our events, we definitely encourage you to let us know so our grants team can give you information to reach out to the manufacturer because they are under warranty. And I know even for one of the members here, we were able to get out a replacement battery to kind of address that. And I think that's definitely the first way that we want to tackle this is just making sure there aren't individual issues kind of with those batteries. At this time, we definitely are focused on using the funding to get out the lawnmowers and having that be, what we're funding because that's essentially how we're reducing emissions in the community. But I do think that if folks are having challenges with their battery, we do ask that you reach out because there can be things that we work with the manufacturer to address those issues. And then I do see another questions about eligibility requirements for the air purifier program. And for our AB 617 community, the requirement is that you live in the boundary. So certainly anyone, any resident in the community can be eligible for this program. All right, I think those are all the questions that I see. I'm going to go back to the presentation. All right, like Bianca mentioned and teed up so well, we do have an opportunity kind of what we generally over at the district want to make sure we are working with you all when we see opportunities in the SERP to continue to improve and expand on our programs and ensure that, all of our programs have enough funding for the interests that we're seeing. And so there is an opportunity that we have actually discussed with other AB 617 communities. This has actually been discussed. It was an idea brought up in another AB 617 community. And based on that feedback, we've actually had discussions across our other 617 communities in the Valley who have supported expanding the program to allow for 2 purifiers per household. Currently, the program only allows for 1 purifier per household. And really some of the reasoning behind that is, we only have so much funding available for the program. And so we really tried to strike a balance between, allowing folks to have this purifier, not have to put in, it to be a high financial burden. Typically, a lot of our grant programs do require applicants to put in a cost share and put some funding in. And for this program, that's actually not required. We do, for folks that are applying, they can receive a purifier for free. But we did, again, try and strike that balance. And, we have been trying to get out as many purifiers as we can. So we've done 1 purifier per household. But we've heard some strong feedback for folks that they are interested and, they would like to see there being the possibility to get 2 purifiers. This would require a project plan that we would need to submit to CARB because we are asking to modify the program from a way it was originally approved by CARB. But however, I want to clarify for this is we are only discussing expanding this program to 2 purifiers. This does not necessarily require funding reallocation at this time. Right now, we're just talking about a concept of, right now everyone can only get 1 purifier. And if there was interest, we could work with CARB to allow people to apply for 2. And so like Amy mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, there's an opportunity for the CSC to build consensus around this because it would require us to work with CARB and there to be a program modification. CARB definitely does want to see that there is support for this. And so at this time, I think I'll actually go ahead and pass over to Amy to continue on this conversation. I do have a couple of other slides that I'm happy to get to, but I think Amy at this time, maybe it makes sense for us to take care of this first and then happy to give any other updates that I can squeeze in afterwards.
Thank you, Stephanie. This is Amy. As I mentioned at the top of this agenda item, I think you all will be really excited with this potential change that you all have the ability to influence for your community. So as Stephanie just said, the proposal is to expand an existing program that is specifically to expand the residential clean air rooms program. And what that would look like is that if you all are in agreement, you would be consenting to expanding the clean air rooms program to allow for 2 air purifiers per household. Again, the expansion has nothing to do with money or reallocation. It's just to change the program to allow 2 air purifiers per household. If you are not in agreement with this modification to the existing program, then what you are saying is that you as a community member and part of this committee, you do not want expansion of the Clean Air Rooms program, and you do not want to allow 2 air purifiers per household. So I'm going to give a moment for this to kind of settle in to see what you're thinking, what is best for your community. This is where you have the privilege to provide your insights and provide your recommendations. So I'd like to have a discussion about what questions you have for the Air District or about this modification. What does that mean beyond adding another air purifier to a existing household? And then we'll check to see how people are feeling before we can move on to the next agenda item. Cesar, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you to the Air District for presenting this. I think this is something that even came up in the previous meeting where a resident from Arvin said that it would be great. And I think I definitely agree as someone who has purchased 2 purifiers for their home, one for my bedroom and then one for the living room, which is the 2 rooms that I spend most of my time in. I think expanding the program to allow 2 purifiers would be great. And I think the square footage that the purifiers cover when multiplied by 2, I think would also help cover more homes and different portions of the home. So I think expanding the program is a great idea. I'd like to show support for that.
Thank you, Cesar, and also seeing Lorena commenting in the chat for her support. And I saw a few thumbs up from other CSC members commenting. I'm seeing Minerva comment. I see several thumbs up. And I'm also seeing a few hands raised. So Mario, want to see if that's a hand or is that your support?
No, it's my hands. I agree. I agree with what Cesar said. I think it's a great idea. I support it.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mario. And María.
Sí, buenas tardes. Igualmente yo estoy de acuerdo en que se dé otro purificador, ya que creo que fui una de las personas que solicitó eso, porque sí es muy importante, porque hay en diferentes hogares que viven 2, 3 familias y pues no pueden compartirse el mismo purificador, ¿verdad? Entonces creo yo que sí, para mí y para toda mi comunidad es muy importante eso. El otro comentario que quería hacer acerca de las pilas de las cortadoras de zacate, yo creo que que estén dando problemas, a mí sí me dio problema al principio y me la cambiaron, me reemplazaron la pila, pero hay muchos comentarios de que las pilas se descargan muy rápido, o sea, la gente está cortando su zacate y llevan menos de la mitad de cortar su zacate cuando ya la pila se apagó por completo. Entonces han ido a preguntar el costo de las pilas y están muy caras, están arriba de $200 cada pila. Entonces a muchas personas se les es imposible comprar otro repuesto de pila para acabar de cortar su zacate, ¿verdad?
Sí.
Porque dicen, pues llevo la mitad, ya se me acabó la pila y en lo que vuelvo a cargar otra vez la pila para volver a empezar. Entonces
Sí.
ese era mi comentario, que las personas se han, pues han dado ese tipo de comentarios que las pilas son muy poquito, da muy poquito tiempo para cortar su zacate. Y muchas dicen, pues yo creo que quiero regresar a mi máquina de gasolina porque con esa sí termino de cortar todo mi zacate. Entonces les digo, no hagan eso.
Oh,
No
no.
hagan
Yes,
eso,
thank
no
you.
regresen a su máquina de gasolina. Entonces, eso es el comentario que yo quería decir, más que nada. No tanto que la pila no sirva. O sea, no
Sí.
tanto de que se las tengan que reemplazar por una nueva, no. Sí, a mucha gente, como les vuelvo a repetir, a mí sí no me sirvió, se dañó luego, pero a muchas personas más el problema es que la pila carga muy poquito. Ese es mi comentario que yo quería dar para estar un poquito más claro con lo de las pilas, de cortar zacate. De lo de los purificadores, estoy 100% de acuerdo en que se dé otro. Gracias.
Thank you, Maria, for sharing your insights. And I think it is crystal clear now what the issue is with the lawn equipment batteries. And so that's been noted. And so we'll make sure that at the next update, there's some answers and recommendations for next steps. But for right now, we want to focus only on this expansion. And so I'm hearing a yes from you as well. Elvia and Julieta, Sabrina, and Jesse, also seeing your hand raised. Is that a hand raise or a support? Okay.
Sí, apoyamos que den dos purificadores por hogar,
Okay.
¿verdad?
Thank you so much.
Ah,
Sí,
Okay.
yo también estoy de acuerdo.
Sí.
Nosotros también estamos de acuerdo que se den 2 purificadores por casa. Gracias.
Nosotros
Thank you so
también lo
much.
pusimos en comentarios, gracias.
Sí. Sí, gracias. Thank you all. Thank you all for all your support. So we're not hearing any opposition to this expansion. So you as a CSC members have flexed your power and been able to influence the modification of this program. So congratulations on making this change that will increase the indoor air quality for residents within the boundary. So as of today, your decision has been made and the air district will be able to implement this program modification immediately. So you should see this change happen now. So we're going to go ahead and move on to the next update that the air district has. It is 6:40, so I want to make sure that we have enough time to cover all the things that you want to cover, Stephanie, but also want to acknowledge how great this process was and that you all provided a recommendation. You saw the air district make that modification. It comes back to the committee and you all provided your insight. And now we're moving forward with this change to the program. So congrats. Go ahead, Stephanie.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. I think Amy, you put it super well that, that we hear these recommendations and we definitely want to try hard to follow up on them and we get to see that kind of in action tonight. So I appreciate everyone's feedback. We are going to work on this concept with CARB. I will give folks the heads up and thank you in advance for your patience because these processes of kind of modifying the program sometimes do take some time. We'll try hard to work on it, but it likely will take us a couple months to fully implement this and figure out how to implement it on the website when folks apply to it. And so we will certainly let you know. You will get an official email from us that's 2 purifiers are available, and you all will know exactly when kind of this program modification is in effect. But for right now, we thank you for your patience as we work with CARB to implement this. All right, I have actually just a couple of quick slides. So now that you've kind of made this decision that, we heard this concept in the last meeting and then the agenda setting and kind of have made a decision on it. We have a couple of other kind of concepts that I wanted to tee up to you all because there are some other actually opportunities within just this Clean Air Room program that we can think about and potentially even bring back in the next meeting if there's interest from the committee on these. And those, one thing is generally when we talk about indoor air filtration, there's lots of folks that could potentially benefit from this type of indoor air filtration. Through the district program, we have the opportunity to work with, for example, community centers, libraries, to set up clean air centers in case there's, for example, poor air quality episode like a wildfire, so that there's maybe a community center that folks can go to if there are things like a wildfire happening in the community. That program already exists through the district. And then residents and, just all the households in the Arvin-Lamont boundary have the opportunity to receive air filtration devices through the Clean Air Room program. And now, through the decision you all made, folks can get even, soon 2 purifiers for their house. There are potentially some other ways that we can expand this program even more. And so I'll just tee up for you that if the CSC is interested, across some of our other communities, we've also expanded this program to include other sensitive receptors like schools, daycares, and senior living centers. And so if the CSC is interested in that, again, that would be an additional program modification that we'd need to work with CARB on and with you on. But that is an opportunity that the CSC has is, we could continue to expand to allow even more folks to receive benefits from indoor air filtration. So this is a kind of new concept that I'm just bringing to you all today, but if there's interest in it, we can bring it back in the next meeting, and we can also discuss it in the agenda setting too. But the new concept is potentially expanding the air filtration program so that we can also include other sensitive receptors such as, again, schools, daycares, senior living centers in the boundary to be able to access this funding to do air filtration in those facilities. And then finally, based on the continued participation that we're seeing, the CSC, I think this could also be good timing maybe in the next couple meetings to consider actually adding more funds to this program. You all saw in my status update just a couple of slides ago that we have probably about, I believe the number was about 30K remaining in this measure, which for these purifier devices could last us a little bit because the devices are per unit are not as expensive as some of our other programs. But this is something that we could imagine with us expanding to 2 purifiers, that they're definitely, we could see this funding exhausted soon here. And so in the next couple meetings, this is something that we do want the CSC to consider is reallocating funds to support this program. And then, like I mentioned, also this concept of supporting other sensitive receptors like daycares and preschools. So anyway, let us know if there is interest in this. And again, we can discuss this also at the next agenda setting meeting to help prep for the May meeting. Some final thoughts that I'll leave you all with is, as you've hopefully seen in the presentation, we continue to make progress on all of our CERT measures, and there's lots of opportunities to continue doing outreach and continue expanding some of the programs as we kind of can through this process. And we will continue to work with you all on necessary program adjustments and funding reallocations as those needs arise. And those are my slides. Happy to take any last question that folks might have.
I'm not seeing any questions. This is Amy, but I'm seeing a lot of support for those potential modifications. Oh, I see Bianca's hands raised. Go ahead, Bianca.
Can we do a soft approval on it, or just do we have to wait until next month?
We don't do soft, but we do. If you have consensus, is there anybody opposed to any of these modifications?
I do think I'd love actually in the next, or you all let me know. Something that is not in the presentation is like there's the amount that potentially is up for reallocation. I think there's actually a couple details that I think maybe might be helpful in the final discussion. That's maybe one thing I'm thinking of is I don't know if folks might want a few more details of what the new program expansion, maybe the amount that we're thinking of moving, for that reallocation. These are things that are not in the presentation that we could bring in May.
Yeah, and any other questions that you want the Air District to bring in May so that you're prepared to make a decision, I think would also be helpful. So if you have that, put it in the chat or let us know or reach out to Nancy so that all of those answers can be brought and we can actually engage in a decision. Mario, do you have a question?
Yeah, I just wanted to know if I could announce what I wanted to announce.
Oh yeah, we're gonna go to standing updates. We'll get there.
Okay.
Hold tight. Okay, so I'm seeing general consensus for approving these modifications. However, there's more information that would be useful in your decision-making process. So the Air District will bring all of that content to the next meeting, and we'll be sure to make it an official consensus or potential vote if needed at the next meeting. Anything else from the Air District before we move on to standing updates? All right, seeing a nod of head from Stephanie. So thank you so much, Stephanie, for providing that clear overview and helping everyone build consensus around this program modification and prepare for the next meeting. So again, as CSC members, please feel free to reach out to your co-leads, Cesar or Bianca with any questions that you have so that you all can be best prepared to engage in a decision for the next CSC meeting. So we're going to move on to standing updates. As you already know, our standing updates item on each or at each meeting is designed to allow you to know what are the things that are happening in your community and specifically hear directly from agencies that might be providing some of these services or might be recruiting for some of these services. So we do have an update from Department of Pesticide Regulation. Let me see if who is still here. I saw Jimmy earlier.
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, any updates, Jimmy?
No, as of right now, so this is Jimmy from DPR. Sorry, should have said that first. As of right now, we don't have any updates.
All right, thank you. So I do know that the next subcommittee meeting might be around enforcement and the dashboard, and that Jason might be bringing some fact sheets to the committee in May or June. Is that right?
I'll tell you right now, I just got back from vacation, so I have not heard anything.
Hey, it's all good. This is Amy. Everyone deserves a vacation and time off. You gotta, work hard and play harder. So we will be expecting updates at the next meeting. I do see Stephanie has her hand raised.
Yeah. This is Stephanie. Just maybe on Jimmy's behalf, I do want to confirm that we are working with DPR to schedule our next pesticide subcommittee meeting in probably the late May or June timeframe, which will be around their new enforcement dashboard, which is a really interesting tool. So look out for that soon.
Wonderful. Thank you, Stephanie, for that update. And we did have a pesticide subcommittee meeting in between the CSC meetings. I don't know, Tim, if you feel comfortable providing the committee with an update.
Yeah, so we had a subcommittee meeting where we discussed spray day. As we know, spray day is the notification system that gives warning before pesticides are applied. Some of the key metrics that were discussed is that the website, when launched, got 28,000 unique visitors, totaling up to 90,000. Sorry. And approximately 4,300 people have signed up for notification, both text message and email. uh, and it sent out over 96,000 notifications to roughly 49 counties within the state boundaries. Some of the key metrics is that users have given it a 3.4 review out of a 5. There's a couple issues regarding languages and adoptions. And I think one of the crucial key topics that we discussed is that DPR is wanting feedback for future updates on, and that window of public comment is still open till May 1st, where comments could be given up about spray day. And one more thing, if anybody wants to see this presentation all over again, it will be presented to DPR's Environmental Justice Committee on this Friday.
Thank you so much, Tim. This is Amy. Appreciate that comprehensive update. It's always great to hear updates from the subcommittee members themselves. And then at this time, I see Bianca's hand, and then we'll go to Mario.
Can we send a reminder to the CSC if possible? I'm mentioning the Air District in regards to the EJAC. I know that Arvin and Lamont were crucial on the spray day, and if they have any recommendations or any updates that DPR is going to do on the spray day, just to do so if it's possible. I was wondering if the Air District can send the notification on it, and if DPR is willing to share that.
This is Stephanie. I was going to say, if DPR is able to share it with us, we can share it back out with the CSC.
Sorry to cut in. This is Jimmy. I'm having internet issues. So Bianca, I only heard like half what was your request to us, so I can write it down and send it to my supervisor.
Oh, if you could just share the link for the DPR EJAC meeting this Friday from 4 to 8.
Yeah.
It sounds like they will be doing that. So thank you, Jimmy, and we'll make sure to include that in the follow-up email that goes out.
Nope.
Any other questions, Jimmy? I see you're unmuted.
Oh, okay. No, I'm just having a lot of internet issues. But regarding what Bianca asked, yeah, I sent the link for the DPR EJAC meeting in the chat. But I will talk to my supervisor, and we'll send a link to Stephanie so she can share it out to the AB 617 community so everyone can have it.
That sounds great. Thank you, Jimmy. And I see them coming through, and I see that Tim also provided a flyer. So if you want to access some of that material right away, please make sure to click on the items that are located in the chat. All right, Mario, you have an update relevant to what's happening in the community. You want to go ahead and put this?
No, I just want to say I want to thank the Air District, especially Nancy, that she did a great job helping me out to help out a family-owned farmer getting a tractor. And I just want to appreciate everything what she did for me and for the Air District and the people who ever helped me out. I want to give a thank you, because I appreciate everything what you guys did for me to make sure that this family-owned farmer got the tractor. I appreciate it, Nancy. Thank you. That's what
Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you so much for sharing, Mario. It's so important to, recognize the hard work of the Air District and everyone on this committee to doing their best part to, keep bringing resources to people that need it. And that's a great example. So I appreciate you sharing. At this time, I'm going to wrap up our meeting. So we are set to have our agenda setting meeting on May 7th. It'll be via Zoom as usual. We do appreciate it when you all come and provide us with any updates about things that you want to see included in the meeting, any recommendations, etc. And then, of course, our next CSC meeting will be the regularly scheduled one after the Memorial Day holiday, which will be May 27th. So if you're going to be traveling, make sure you come back on that Wednesday so you can join the meeting. And I see, Abby, did you have an announcement that I skipped? I didn't see your hand earlier.
Oh, hi there. Sorry about that. Yeah, I just wanted to add something really quickly that my name is Abby. I work with Leadership Council for Justice and Accountability, and I've been working with some residents in Fuller Acres who are hoping to kind of push forward the idea to get sidewalks along Weed Patch Highway so that they can walk more safely to the current transit stop that's over there, and that their kids can walk more safely to the Lamont Elementary School bus stop that is over there as well, because right now people are just walking on the shoulder. So Leadership Council is sending a letter to Caltrans just to raise the importance of this issue, and I wanted to ask individually if members of the CSC would like to include their name on this letter just to show support. You could just, if you would like to, if you want to raise your hand or type your name in the chat, I'll write it down. It would just be your name and then AB 617 CSC member going on the letter. And I'm also happy to answer any questions.
I just want to say I'm 100% beside you. If you need my name is Mario Garcia.
Okay, thank you so much, Mario. I'll put your name on the letter. I really appreciate that.
Thank you so much, Abby. So Abby, I think I saw your contact in the chat earlier, but if you can put it in there now, that way people can reach out to you. That'd be really helpful.
Sure, I can do that. Thank you so
Awesome.
much.
Of course, you're welcome. Thank you for sharing that update. So at this time, we'd like to start wrapping up. So I'm going to invite our co-leads to provide us with any closing remarks. Go ahead, Cesar.
Yeah, just a big thank you again for everyone for staying in, not just for tonight, but the whole process. I think we make big decisions and we decide on things that are going to benefit the community. So I think that's awesome. And also want to acknowledge that being part of this also gives you like knowledge and access to folks that can help you improve your community directly. So just want to also like highlight Mario's like personal effort to work with the local farmer to make sure that they got a tractor, because that's huge. So that's amazing. And also just another big thank you to the Air District for all of the helpful information and the presentations and willingness to take our concerns and come back with answers in the next one.
Thank you, Cesar. Bianca?
I wanted to echo what Cesar was mentioning. All the amazing work everybody has been doing is tremendous. We've seen a lot of progress. As today we voted for something very instrumental, especially with hearing what the monitor is coming up with PM 2.5. So when we hear those type of information coming from like the Air District and now doing something again for it, adding another purifier does help, especially for residents that do have respiratory issues, pulmonary issues. So I do appreciate that the Air District comes with a solution to all this bad weathers and how to fix some of our air contamination that we're having in the area, and especially everybody that has been very supportive. And in the chat, I keep seeing people in the chat sending out supports and any questions or remarks, and I do appreciate that. Everybody's very inclusive of all the items that we have in the meeting. So thank you. And welcome everybody from the CSC and residents from the Arvin and Lamont community.
Much thanks to you, Bianca. Stephanie, anything from the Air District that you'd like to add?
Thanks, Amy. Hi, everyone. This is Stephanie. I first and foremost just really want to thank Bianca and Cesar, who, outside of this meeting, we prep, we email, really to set up these meetings, and so they spend so much of their time helping to make these meetings really meaningful for all of us. And so, just wanted to recognize them both, and I just wanted to thank everyone. I'm always struck by how passionate this group is and how this group really organizes to tackle issues. And you all are doing such fantastic work for your community. And so just wanted to thank you and yeah, really looking forward to lots of the upcoming work we have around this purifier program, around urban greening and vegetative barriers. And really all of that is thanks to the commitment that you all have to this work. So thank you.
Yes, thank you, everyone. And this wraps up our meeting. We just want to make space for any public comment. If anyone has anything to add, I'm looking online. We don't have anyone on our YouTube channel. And I'm not seeing anyone raise their hand for a public comment. All right, as you know, we do take notes and document action items that you all recommended. We are at time, so you will receive those action items via email. And as you already know, you can track those action items live on the Air District's website. So as all of you have shared, I want to express my gratitude for your commitment and willingness to continue to show up and recommend what's best for your community and really put forward the humanity that we all have. And I'm ready to be in this space with you again next week. So see you soon and have a great evening, everyone. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
Feel
Buenas
better,
noches.
Bianca.
Buenas noches.
Buenas
Buenas
noches.
noches. Buenas noches.
Gracias, buenas noches.